Yo, what's good everybody? I'm your boy Jadiro, and today I'll be talking about the dev campfire chat that just happened for Diablo 4 Season 4. Let's get right into it. Alright, first things first, let's talk about the seasonal theme of Season 4. There is no seasonal theme. Now, with that being said, anyone that got to experience the PTR and was lucky enough to play it, that's basically what you're getting. And I think someone like me, I set my expectations really high because I was a little disappointed seeing that there was no season theme. It's kind of like a Lunar Festival Reborn quest line where you get legendaries, which we'll talk more about later. And then you get like this Hadrig's Gift kind of idea mixed into this Lunar Festival Reborn quest line, which is kind of crazy, but it's not much of a seasonal theme if you ask me. And again, I want to say that was an expectation I brought on my own because I thought we would have got more than I would have experienced on the PTR. And this is my first time playing a PTR, so my first time playing a PTR, I didn't know that, this is what you're getting, this is the seasonal theme. They didn't actually say that outright. I kind of wish that they would have told us, hey, if you're playing the PTR, this is what you're going to get when Season 4 actually comes out. However, a part of me also thinks that they didn't exactly know if they were going to add more to the game or not either. But with all that aside, let's get into the things that they actually did change coming in Season 4. So let's talk about the masterworking and tempering. They added a skippable button so you don't have to sit there and watch the animation, a cool quality of life feature to get you back into the game. I think it's pretty cool. I could swear that the skippable button was already there, but maybe they did add it and maybe it's something else that I haven't experienced yet. But I do believe there was a skippable button, but maybe not for the masterworking. I don't quite remember. Don't quote me. But yeah, that's a cool quality of life feature that I'm looking forward to see as well. And they also removed the chance to fail when you're doing your masterworking. So basically when you're buffing an affix, when you're doing your masterworking late in the game, there's a chance to fail, or at least there used to be a chance to fail. Now they're completely getting rid of that. They just completely removed it out of the game, and they're not going to have that anymore. So you'll be able to do your masterworking without the chance of you failing and having to reroll a whole item. And speaking of affixes, on the ancestral items that grant you greater affixes, they're going to actually mark those items on the map. Now they're going to be located on the map, and you're also going to be able to see them in your inventory. They're going to be marked with like a little star emblem, which I think is pretty cool. I hope they can and they will add a different color to the item, like maybe make it red or like a different color of orange or something like that. Just, I think that would be a cool quality of life feature, but the fact that they change it from the Roman numerals to an actual indicator on the item, I think that's a cool quality of life feature too. So when you're rolling through, the HELLTIDEs and collecting items, you don't have to accidentally miss it. You'll definitely notice it now, which I think is a huge improvement. And another thing about items and imprinting and affixes in the same breath is that they'll be increasing the amount of veiled crystals dropped in the game. So with sacred items, when you salvage them, you'll be getting twice the amount of veiled crystals. And then when you salvage ancestral items, you'll be getting triple the amount of veiled crystals, which is huge. And on the topic of veiled crystals as well, it used to be 70 veiled crystals to imprint an affix on your item, and they're reducing that down to 16 veiled crystals. So I don't know if you guys saw the PTR or what was going on there, but it was pretty expensive to flip affixes and put new abilities on your items. And what they're doing is they're reducing the cost of that so that you'll be able to switch around and flip your builds much easier. And not only will you be able to flip your builds much easier, but you'll be able to collect veiled crystals much easier. So another thing I want to talk about is they're reducing the armor scaling in the game as well. So now armor is going to cap out at 9,230. So that means all the way up till monster level 100, which will be you being level 100 as well. Or you'll only have to have 9,230 armor to be at your maximum damage reduction. Before it used to scale beyond that based on the monster level. Now they're capping it at 9,230. Now I'm kind of happy that they did this because now all you need is the Juggernauts aspect, and you shouldn't be too far off from capping your armor at 9,230. I think for most players that aren't as experienced, it's kind of hard to understand how armor can scale based on monster level. Now with having a fixed number, I think for most of the player base, it'll be a lot easier to understand. They're also increasing the damage reduction of fortified from 10% to 15%. So if you have any fortified builds, they're going to increase the damage reduction of fortified. Now they also mentioned that they're going to nerf some builds. They didn't directly say that they're going to nerf it, but it is a pretty big nerf. And specifically, we're talking about the Barbarian Dust Devil build, the Sork Frozen Orb build, and they didn't say it, but they did say it, was the Druid Hurricane build. Now there's tons of patch notes where you can see these nerfs for yourself. We're not going to go over everything today because I think I can make a whole entire video about all the patch notes. But these were things that they did mention in the live stream. And I think it kind of sucks that they're doing it. Like, I had so much fun playing all those builds myself. on the PTR, but I believe the reason that they're nerfing some of them is because it was bricking people's computers with all the animations going on screen, especially the Dust Devil Bard build. However, one thing I did get to play was a Necromancer minion build, and there was no nerfs to that build at all. So I think the Season 4, don't quote me on this, but I think Season 4 will be the season of the Necromancer. And to be fair, I can't really number crunch and figure out the power and if these are significant nerfs or not, but they do look like significant nerfs on paper. But I'd really like to test these out once the Season 4 drops and I can actually see how the build does and the numbers it puts up. That brings you to the question of the video, guys. Let me know what class you'll be playing for Season 4. I think I'm going to run Druid or Necromancer. They both look kind of fun. But let me know down in the comments what you guys are going to play. Another thing that I noticed too is it looks like they're trying to make the game more easy. And they did kind of mention in their own words, they want you to blast to level 100. So it looks like they're increasing the amount of experience you get from World Tier 2, 3, and 4 and on to get to level 100 a lot quicker, which I kind of appreciate. I think a lot of the more pro players and people that take this game and sink hundreds of hours into this game on their own are a little bit cheesed about that because I feel like they want more end game, which I do too. But I think for more of the casual audience, that's going to be cool because we've already played like 2-3 seasons of releveling and releveling and releveling characters. So I think that them being or giving us the ability to level a lot faster is super huge. Now, speaking of leveling fast, I also want to touch on the seasonal theme once again, guys. They're not really giving us a seasonal theme. They're giving us Haedrig's Gift, which is basically going to supply us with legendary aspects on our journey through the quest line that caters to a specific build. And it's kind of reminiscent of the Lunar Festival quest line, in my opinion. That's what it looked like. I instantly said Lunar Festival Reborn in my head with Haedrig's Gift. That's what we're getting. So we're getting a lot more of that D3 stuff coming back, like the Pit, which we'll talk about later. And we're getting like this Lunar Festival quest line for the seasonal theme. Now, they did say to give them feedback, and if I can give them feedback, I'd say give us something a little bit more unique to the build. Instead of giving us a build we've seen before, maybe give us a unique maybe give every class a unique item that does something cool to a different core ability or a different you know, basic ability. Like, give us something different. I think we've been playing for a few seasons now and every build is typically circulating around a core ability. Maybe give us the ability to make builds around basic abilities or supporting abilities. I think that would have been a cooler idea, like even if it was a cheap little unique ring, because you know, rings don't really outscale until you're way late into the game. So I thought maybe that would have been a cooler idea, but you know, that's my feedback. I think it's cool to give us the Haedrig's Gift idea, but maybe pack it into more of a unique item where we get unique abilities on screen. I think that's what people really appreciate when they're watching this game. A few other things I want to touch on here is they're going to be capping the cooldown reduction on items to 75%. I think it was something crazy. Now, that's not to say that you can't get cooldown reduction on other items, but that's what they're going to be capping it on as for affixes. And they're also going to be capping the area of effect abilities. So for like your Dust Devils and your Corpse Tendrils, they're going to be capping the area of effect, so how large it scales on screen, to only 100%. I think it went all the way up to 300% was the cap you could have had on the PTR, but unfortunately they're going to reduce that down to 100%. Now, there's a lot of things that they're changing on the PTR that I think they shouldn't take away, but they are taking away. I felt like the PTR was fun, and I just don't want the PTR to be more fun than the game when Season 4 actually drops. That's my own 2 cents. Also, they're going to make OBOLs relevant again. So OBOLs is the random currency that you get where you can go to the gambler and pretty much flip it for items. Now, they said at level 100, when you go to flip your OBOLs, you're guaranteed 925 items, and you're also guaranteed to potentially get greater affixes on those legendary items, which is pretty sweet. Another thing that I like that they mentioned is they're going to increase the experience by 25% for your glyphs when you're doing your Paragon board, which I think is huge as well. And I think this is strictly just to increase the incentive to do Nightmare Dungeons. Now, for Season 3, all I did was the vaults, and I got my glyph experience that way. So I feel like with vaults not being in Season 4, which I don't think they're going to be in Season 4, this is an incentive to do Nightmare Dungeons again. And all the power to them to increase the incentive to do anything in this game. Just like they reworked the HELLTIDEs, just like they added the Pit. I think it's cool that they're adding the incentive to do Nightmare Dungeons again by giving us increased experience to glyphs. And speaking on the HELLTIDE, they're going to increase the rewards that the Blood Maiden drops. Now, the Blood Maiden is basically the big boss in the map that you have to collect 3 hearts to summon. They said they're going to be increasing her drops, and they're also going to be increasing the amount of cinders she drops. Also, they're going to be increasing the amount of cinders that get dropped in HELLTIDE overall. So that means anything you're doing in the HELLTIDEs, you're going to get an increased amount of cinders. Which brings me to the unique item that they're bringing to this season, which is called the Profane Mind Cage. Now, the Profane Mind Cage is a consumable item that you can take, and what it does is it increases the monster level by 10, and it stacks every time you consume the Profane Mind Cage. So basically, if you want to limit test or you want to take the game to the next level and get more experience while you're leveling up your class, you can consume the Profane Mind Cage to do so. And the Profane Mind Cage also increases the amount of cinders dropped as well. So what that's doing is giving the player the ability to gauge how hard they want the game to be when they're playing in the HELLTIDE. Now, I think that's everything that's going to matter to more of the casual player like myself, but I think for the more experienced players, they also added some stuff as well. They said that they're going to increase the drop rate of boss materials throughout the game. So whether that's a treasure goblin or a chest you're opening or any kind of event that you're doing in the HELLTIDE, in Sanctuary, anywhere, you're going to get more boss materials dropped. And the latter bosses have an increased drop rate of uniques now. Additionally, they're going to increase the difficulty level of the pit. So basically, everyone was blasting through level 200 with ease, the more experienced players that is, and they were just wrecking everything in the pit. So what they're going to do is they're going to increase the difficulty level to make it a little bit more challenging for the more experienced player. And if you're a casual player and you happen to do the pit yourself, it's going to be a fun time for you too. Well guys, I think that's everything I wanted to mention in the Dev Campfire chat. I hope you enjoyed. Now again, my closing thoughts. I wish there was more of a seasonal theme, but that was my own expectations from experience to PTR. But if I have to give credit where credit's due, the game's going in a good direction. It's definitely a lot more fun to play. I was having a blast playing the PTR. I'll say it over and over again. They really did a good job of the PTR. They also did mention that they're going to be adding more endgame material in the seasons to come. So I'm really looking forward to that. It's probably going to be Endgame Reborn Season 5, if I'm being honest. And I'm looking forward to that as well. And I think majority of players, casual or experienced, are all looking for more endgame things to do. So I'm looking for Endgame Reborn Season 5. Can't wait. I also think that Damage on Tuesday shirt was awesome. I just wanted to add that in there. And if anyone knows where I can get one, please let me know in the comments. All right, guys. Well, that does it for me. I'll see you in Season 4. I'm your boy Jadiro. Sign out for now. Peace.